let's go ahead and get started here. So one of the things that we launched since the last webinar is we launched a support for a new broker. The broker is called Tradier. They support stocks and options. And we integrated Tradier with TradersPost, and it supports stocks and options now. So I'm going to go ahead and log into my Tradier account. Let me get logged in here. Gotta wait for the code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the API access, and you see these access tokens here. There's two ways you can connect Tradier. You can go through the login flow, which basically redirects to Tradier. So log in with Tradier, that'll redirect you to Tradier where you can enter in your username and password, and that'll connect the brokerage account to TradersPost. So let's go ahead and do that. And now I have this test Tradier broker connected to my system. Now, one thing that's different about Tradier compared to some of the other brokers is that the login flow doesn't give you access to the paper broker. So in order to get a Tradier paper broker connected to TradersPost, go back to connected brokers and click connect paper broker and select Tradier. Click I agree. And then instead of doing login with Tradier, do set access token. So I've pasted that access token in here. And if I just click save, now I have my Tradier paper account connected to TradersPost. So if you wanted to change this to a different access token, you can click edit access token and input a different access token. It'll change the paper broker to that account instead of the one that's there now. So as you can see, I already have some positions and some orders open. I have this trading with just some test strategies in one of our test environments. Everything works the same compared to the other brokers. You can view the option chain. You can set up automated trading strategies by creating webhooks. So let's just go ahead and do that. Let's set up a simple stock strategy. We'll do it on the Square ticker. We'll create a new strategy now. We'll call it the stock strategy. Let's connect it to the stock strategy webhook. And let's just set some default settings. Let's do bullish only. Default it to Square. We want the stocks asset class. And let's just skip all those advanced settings and let's just only do entry market and exit market. So now we have that strategy created. Now we need to connect it to a broker. So let's connect it to the Tradier paper broker. And let's call it Tradier stock strategy. We'll auto submit. It defaulted to Square because that's the setting that we chose on the strategy. And let's just do one share. So we'll save that. So you see these example orders, we're just buying one share. If we wanted to do a percentage of our portfolio value, we could do that. So we'll input 5 here and then click save. And now you'll see that it updated to buy 5% worth, which is 124 shares. All right, so now we're ready to enable this. So one other thing you can do that's cool about TradersPost is you can create multiple subscriptions to that strategy. So we've connected it once to the Tradier broker, but now let's connect it to the TradersPost paper broker. And let's call it the TradersPost stock strategy. We'll auto submit. It's all the same settings, except in this one, whoops, let's just hard code it to a quantity of 10. So you see it's buying 10 shares at $78.11. Sure, Sean. So Sean asks, is there a way to backtest strategies in TradersPost, or is the best way to paper trade live to monitor? So you would do all of that backtesting on TradingView. So if you go over to the TradersPost documentation and go to this backtesting link here. Hold on one second. Trying to find what I'm looking for here. There we go. So within this page here, it shows you information about backtesting. The best way to do it is with TradingView. We might have a backtesting engine and the ability to build strategies within TradersPost in the future. But right now, all the strategies and backtesting and all the logic for strategies, that happens in either TradingView or TrendSpider, or some customers build their strategy in a low-level programming language like Python. And then they basically just send those signals to TradersPost. And then TradersPost is able to take those signals and transform them into all of the necessary API calls to the underlying broker to create those orders. So let me share a different part of my screen. So I've got my TradingView here, and I just got an example strategy here. And let's run it on the 30-minute chart. So you can see this example here on SPY. And this is where you would go to backtest. You would click the strategy tester tab here with your strategy loaded up on your screen. And then you have the ability to control the settings and see what the P&L graph looks like, how many trades, the net profit, percent profitable, profit factor, etc. Does that answer your question, Sean? Awesome. Yeah, no problem. Happy to help. All right, I'm going to switch back over. You know, Jonathan asks, how accurate is TV backtesting? I mean, backtesting is not more or less accurate in any platform. I mean, if your strategy says to buy $100, buy at $100, you're going to get filled at $100 in the backtest. So TradingView isn't more or less accurate than any other system. It's more about making sure that you're accounting for, let me share my TradingView screen again. In the settings of your strategy, you have to make sure that you're configuring your strategy correctly to account for slippage and commissions. So right now, I'm not accounting for any slippage. So watch what happens to the performance when I add 10 ticks of slippage. So you see how the stats just slightly changed. So you have to run your backtest in a way that accounts for everything that you would need to account for in a live environment. In a live environment, you're going to have slippage and you might have commissions. So if you don't account for those things, then your backtest is going to be inaccurate. But that's not TradingView that's inaccurate. That's just you setting up a faulty backtest and not configuring it correctly. You know, and there's no way to have like an automated amount of slippage, because the slippage depends on the ticker, depends on the time of the day. So you have to kind of submit your own orders on a live broker to try to get an understanding of how much slippage you're going to get with market orders, and look at the spread between the bid and the ask, and that'll tell you how much slippage you should configure. But generally, I would say that you should put more slippage than you think you need, because you kind of want your back test to be tested with all of the worst case scenarios. Because, I mean, you don't want your back test to be giving you false hope, or not, that's the wrong way to say it. Like, you don't want your back test to be executed in a best case scenario, because in a live environment, you're not always going to get the best case scenario fill. you're actually probably going to get the worst case scenario fill, because brokers make money off of your orders. So they're actively trying to give you the worst fill possible. That's probably an exaggeration, but they're trying to give you a fill that's bad enough to where they can make a little bit of money off of your fill. So that's why it's important to run strategies on a higher time frame, because if you're running it on the 30-second chart or the 1-minute chart, there's not enough action in the move for you to make money and to overcome slippage, and for the broker to make their money when they trim off a few pennies off of each trade. So you need more meat on the bone. You need to be in the trade longer in order for you to basically be able to pay all of your fees, the commissions, the slippage, etc. So that's why it's really important in your back test to make sure that you account for slippage and commissions, because it's very possible to build a strategy that looks great in the back test, but it's impossible to execute the strategy live in the way that you back tested it. So that was a little bit long-winded, but does that make sense, Jonathan? Cool. All right. So let's switch back over here now. Which browser is this? Okay. So yeah, on this backtesting page here, you'll find all the information. There's a video here that shows you how to use the strategy backtester. I'll put the link in the chat so you all can save it. So going back to TradersPost now, I'm going to enable this strategy subscription. And now we have 2 subscriptions to 1 strategy. And the market's closed right now, but I'm just going to send a test signal. If you go to your webhook, click webhooks, and then click send request, this basically allows you to send a test request to the webhook. So you don't actually have to wait for your strategy to send a signal. Because if you're running your strategy on the 30-minute chart or the 1-hour chart, you may have to wait hours or days even to get a real signal. So the send request functionality is a useful little tool that enables you to test your strategies and your subscriptions in TradersPost without having to wait for a real signal. So we're just going to send a buy signal. You can confirm that this is the JSON that's going to be sent to the webhook. We'll click send. And you'll see that because the market is closed, on the TradersPost paper broker, the trade was queued for the next market open. But because Tradier actually supports sending market orders when the market is closed, and they basically queue it on their side. So right at market open tomorrow morning, this order will switch from pending to filled. And then similarly, on our side, this TradersPost paper broker order, we've queued it on our side. And tomorrow morning, when the market opens, this trade will get dequeued and it'll be filled. So you'll see now we submitted 1 signal. There's only 1 signal here, but it triggered 2 trades in 2 separate broker accounts. So that's useful for being able to run your strategy in a paper account and a live account in parallel. And that's useful for testing, because you want to be able to see, what was my fill price in the paper broker? What was my fill price in the live broker? And then compare those prices to each other. And then also compare the price in the back test in TradingView. And if you're getting wild differences in those fill prices, then you're missing something. You know that either your back test isn't right, or maybe you don't have live data in your Tradier account or your TradersPost paper account. Those fill prices should be relatively close to each other. They should really only be off by a penny or two at the most. They shouldn't be off by dollars or anything wildly different. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel these trades. I'm going to reject it. And we'll cancel this order because it's in the broker. We want to actually cancel it. So other thing that I want to show you, which I've done on some of the other webinars, under connected brokers, you have this logs link. And this basically shows you all of the low-level communication that we have had with the broker. So we've submitted one order to Tradier and we've canceled one order. So this is the API call that was made to Tradier to create that order. So you can see that this is the data that we sent Tradier, and this is what they responded with. And then this one is the cancel. So you can see that we sent it this request. There's no body for the request because it's basically just a delete call saying cancel this order ID. And they responded saying, okay, this order ID status okay, which just means that it was canceled successfully. So it's important to know how to look at these logs when you want to troubleshoot something or you need to figure out what happened when some trades were being executed. You can go to your broker logs to see that. But it's also displayed here if you go to your trades underneath the strategy subscription. So we can see that we submitted this one trade, and this is the screen that shows that trade and has all the information, what orders were executed, what was the signal that triggered that trade. You can click view log to go back to the log screen for that webhook. And you can see the list of trades that were triggered as a result from that webhook request. And then this is all of the trade configuration, all of the settings for your strategy subscription at the time that trade was executed. So this is useful for seeing, okay, was auto submit enabled? Was it bullish or both or bearish? Was it 5% of the portfolio value? So this can kind of give you an idea of what were the settings in my strategy subscription at the time this trade was executed. Because you may change the settings in your strategy subscription, and you want to see what the settings were when that trade was executed, not what the settings are currently right now. And then the last thing at the bottom of the screen, you'll see this debug button. And this is just some low-level data that you can look at to see what was the data for the entry order that we sent to Tradier, what was the quote that we received from Tradier. So you can see the price of the quote at the time the trade was executed was, the bid was 78 and the ask was 78.85. So there was a 5-cent spread at the time this trade was executed. Or sorry, not at the time it was executed, but at the time that the order was sent to the broker. And normally if the market was open, we would see this get filled, but because the market's closed, it doesn't get filled. And then this section right here shows you all of the logs for that trade. So this is the same screen we were on before where it shows you the broker logs, but this is only the logs for this trade. So you can see if I click to it, it goes to the screen that we were looking at earlier to see what data was sent to Tradier and what did Tradier respond with. All right, does anyone else have any questions or anything else before I move on to the next thing? Anything you want me to cover? Okay. All right, I'm going to set up a future strategy now so we can see that actually working live. So let me think here. I'm going to connect another paper broker. We're going to do TradeStation this time. And I'm going to log in with one of my test accounts. All right, so we have this TradeStation paper account connected now. We'll give it a more proper name. And you can see that we have some open positions here that just have, I guess, have been open for a while. Let's just close these positions manually. So now let's go to our webhooks. Let's create a new webhook called futures webhook. Let's make it a futures asset class, and let's allow NQ. So we'll save that. Now let's create a new strategy and connect that strategy to our webhook. So let's call this the future strategy. We'll connect it to the futures webhook that we just created. Let's set both sides. So that means we're going to take both bullish and bearish trades. Let's make the default NQ. Let's choose the futures asset class for this strategy. And let's do entry market and exit market. And we just want to trade one contract. All right, so let's save that now. Now we need to subscribe to that strategy and connect it to our TradeStation paper broker. So you can click this blue, this link in the blue box here. You can also click subscribe. Then you can also, from the strategy screen here, you can click subscribe. And once you click subscribe, it asks you what broker do you want to connect this strategy to. So let's connect it to the TradeStation paper broker. Sean asks, I've been weary of automated trading with fear of the bot not executing orders when where it should, or something disastrous happening, especially with futures. Has that ever happened to you or any of the TP clients? I'm almost certain this is just a Sean paranoia, but who knows? I mean, the truth is that technology can fail, but how often does it happen? We're talking 99.9% of the time, probably 99.99999%, there are no issues. So it's best to always be watching your trades. You don't want to just like set it up and never look at it. You still need to watch it. You need to look at it. There's other ways that things can go wrong besides like a technical failure. For example, market orders are not guaranteed to work. TradeStation and brokers, like if the volatility is crazy, like say something crazy happens in the news and it causes volatility in the market to just explode, the brokers and the exchanges can and will disable market orders. And you could submit a market order to exit an open position and the broker would reject it, saying we're not accepting market orders. So as a general rule, like it's not like you can just set this up and never look at it and just come back and check in 6 months later. You have to look at it. Like this is, it's serious. You need to monitor it. Any hedge fund or HFT firm, they have staff of people who build these strategies and monitor those strategies and make sure that the strategies do what you expect it to do. So it's a legitimate concern, but it's not like every day trades are just not working. It's very, very, very rare. But like I said, technology can fail. TradingView could go down. The internet that TradingView uses to connect to TradersPost, that's the public internet. So we can't control the public internet. So it's very rare, but you know how sometimes like you'll see in the news that like a major backbone ISP provider. Yeah. So like Jonathan says, Tradeovate went down today for a bit. So it is possible. It's just rare. But what I was saying is like, sometimes you'll see in the news that like Verizon or AT&T, like they're major internet service providers that provide internet to the whole country. And if they ever have an issue, it can actually cause the internet as a whole to be unstable. So again, these are like super, super rare, like barely ever happen types of scenarios. But no technology is perfect. And, there are those instances, the very, very rare instances where stuff can fail. So I don't know if that helps you or like makes you more comfortable with automated trading, but hopefully that helps answer your question, Sean. Probably. Sean says it does. Pretty sure my human error costs me more money. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's super rare. I mean, I've been trading using TradersPost. I built TradersPost originally just for myself. It was just for my own personal trading. And then I started to realize that other people wanted a system like this. And I decided to quit my job as a CTO at a healthcare company and decided to create TradersPost and incorporate and create a business out of it. And I mean, I can count on a finger or two how many times it's happened to me personally. And it's super, super rare. And it's usually, sometimes it's caused by either the broker having a downtime. More often, like TradingView can be delayed sometimes a little bit, but we're talking by like seconds. Worst case scenario, it's delayed by like 30 seconds. TradingView considers anything within 30 seconds kind of like normal. So that's why it's important to run your strategy on a higher time frame, because if you're running a strategy on the 1 minute chart and it says to buy and then a minute later it says to sell, well, if that buy signal comes in 30 seconds late, you missed half the trade. And now what looked like a good trade in the back test, because you got filled instantly in the back test, now is a losing trade in the real world because you got in 30 seconds late. So you need to run your strategy on a higher time frame so that there's more meat on the bone to be able to not be so sensitive to those types of issues. All right, so let's continue setting this up. We'll call this the TradeStation futures strategy. We'll auto submit, and auto submit means when the signal comes into the webhook, it submits to the broker automatically. And we defaulted to NQ. It's connected to TradeStation paper. We'll do one quantity and market orders for both entry and exit. So let's save. Let's enable this now. So it's live now. And whenever a signal comes in to the futures webhook, it's going to trigger a trade in that TradeStation paper broker. So the futures market is still open right now. We have 30 minutes left. So let's trigger a trade. So you can see the trade was executed. It was submitted to the broker. Let's go look at the dashboard for that paper broker. You'll see that we have an open position for NQ. Let's go back to the webhook now. Let's send another request. Let's exit. And you see that we got an exit order to exit that one quantity. So I'm going to do one thing differently now. Let's turn off auto submit. And this is cool because some customers like to use TradersPost as like a hybrid manual trading, automated trading system where they set up their alerts to send to TradersPost, but it won't submit it to the broker automatically. You have to manually choose to either approve or reject the trade. So it's kind of like a hybrid where, normally someone might get an alert, send a text message to their phone, and then they go manually input the order into their broker. Well, this can basically prepare that order, and all you have to do is click approve, and then it's off to the broker. So let's clear our notifications inbox. And let's go back to our webhook now, and let's send a request to, let's short NQ now. So we're going to send a bearish signal. So you see now this order is in this draft state. Nothing's been sent to the broker. It hasn't been approved. We haven't entered a new position yet. What if I don't like this trade? I'm like, this signal just isn't quite right. I don't want to take this trade. You can just reject it. Or say you change your mind. You can click retry. Trader V says on my TradeStation paper broker, it says an error under asset class that TradeStation broker does not support futures. That's because you don't have it associated to a futures account. You probably have a margin account chosen, not futures. Margin accounts in TradeStation are only for stocks and options. So make sure that you have the futures account selected and go to details and make sure that you see the green checkbox for supports futures. Does that make sense? If you need more help, you can email support@traderspost.io, but you should be able to just change the account that it's selected from the margin account to the futures account. So now let's go back to this trade here and let's approve it. Let's let it go through to the broker. All right, you can see it was submitted. These are the broker logs. So this was the data that was sent to the broker. This is how the broker responded. So now what I want to show you is when we set up the strategy subscription, we set sides to both. So that means it'll take both sides of the trade and it'll swap sides automatically. So let's send a signal to our webhook to buy. We're currently short, so we're going to send a buy signal. And we have auto submit disabled. So it didn't submit it to the broker, but you can kind of see the plan, what it will execute when you approve it. So TradersPost sees that there's currently an open position. And because this is a buy signal, action buy, and there's a short position open, we need to exit that short position with a buy to cover order. And then as soon as this exit order fills, it'll immediately submit the order to enter bullish on the other side. So let's click approve here and let's let it go through to the broker. So you can see that it submitted the market buy to exit the short position and then submitted another market buy to enter long on the other side. So now it made two API calls, one to exit and one to enter. So we can click it and we can look, we can see the order. And now if we go back to the dashboard for our TradeStation paper broker, you'll see now that we have a bullish long position open. So sometimes you may want to exit an open position without flipping to the other side. By default, it will swap sides, but you can send a signal with an action of exit, which basically just means if there's an open position, exit it. And that's all you want to do. You don't want to exit the position and then enter a new position on the other side. Or you can send an action of sell with a sentiment of flat. And that's basically equivalent to an action of exit. It's basically saying that we want to sell, but we only want to flatten the open position. So let's send that signal and let's see what happens. So you can see that it's exiting the open position, but it's not entering on the other side because it's an action sell sentiment flat. So let's let this through to the broker now. All right, that order was filled. And now we're not in any position anymore. All right. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover today. We'll see you next time. Take care.